CIG just made the most unpopular reward decision in recent Star Citizen history, and I think it's the smartest business move they've made all year. XenoThreat is back in 4.8.3, but for the first time since the 4.0 branch began, the rewards almost certainly aren't carrying over into Star Citizen 1.0. I've seen the reaction across social media. People are frustrated, and I understand why, but I don't think this was an accident. I think CIG learned a painful lesson from the resource drive, and this time they weren't willing to repeat it. This XenoThreat event is another points grind, 120,000 points, and the reward track is blueprints. Things like unique armor patterns, some guns with the same patterns, shields, and repeaters. Good stuff mostly, especially the shields and repeaters. I could care less about unique armor. When players asked if they're account bound like everything else has been, CIG's answer was deliberate. Miku, the community manager, said blueprints persist across future updates. Notice what's missing. Nobody said they survive a wipe. Nobody said they carry into 1.0. I think it's pretty clear. They're just not going to be account bound. That's a big shift. Since 4.0, event rewards have been permanent. Everything from the resource drive, the fight for pyro, etc. is yours forever. And the understanding was that it transfers into the live launch of Star Citizen whenever that day comes. In essence, you weren't spending time for rewards that would just disappear at the next big wipe or at 1.0. By playing and testing the game, you're getting items for the finished game years early. It's an incredibly powerful motivator, especially if the rewards are desirable. And CIG built an entire event economy on that. When the game's working well, that's fantastic, it's a win for everybody, but if you remember, the resource drive, the mechanics of doing cargo missions were completely broken. Missions failed through no fault of your own, servers degraded, and we kept logging in anyway because those rewards were permanent and the window was closing. It was so bad that my love for cargo hauling pretty much evaporated. I didn't want to do another mission unless I had to, and I've pretty much avoided cargo running for the last year because of it. Well, those same freight elevators are back, and more on top of them. 4.8 has been the worst patch Star Citizen's had since the 3.18 disaster. The content is scheduled in advance, it doesn't materialize out of nowhere. XenoThreat was coming into the verse with 4.8 regardless, and it was unavoidable. So if you're about to launch a limited time event into a build you already know is frustrating, players grind through a broken experience, they burn out, and they walk away associating your game with misery. And for a game funded entirely on belief in the finished product, that's one outcome that CIG really can't afford. Not when morale is already low and the servers are on fire. So they cut the cord. The only reason to play XenoThreat right now is if XenoThreat is fun for you in the moment. Log in, hit a wall of bugs, log out, and you've lost nothing really. And a bunch of players are furious about that, which tells you how deep the FOMO hook was set. We're now conditioned to want those rewards for the pain. Now, the anger isn't stupid, I totally get it. The people that play through the trouble want to be rewarded for their time, but I'm not seeing people pointing to the why in the conversation. CIG did it so they wouldn't antagonize us, full stop. And it works. I have no incentive to play a broken game if I don't want to. But this is another communication failure from CIG, letting a Spectrum reply do the explaining. I know they can't say the quiet part out loud. No PR person in the world would want that. Truth is, the game's in a stabilization phase. The carrot and stick method of events is paused until the experience deserves it. I think they should fall on the sword and take the hit honestly. Just say that, be blunt. We're seeing some honesty with Benoit's admission of the problems behind the scenes in the development. It shows CIG has an accurate picture of their own game. Studio in denial ships permanent rewards into a broken build because the studio in denial can never really admit it. CIG is the same company that delayed instancing to fix more bugs, and they also admitted freight elevators aren't reliable after 70 plus fixes. For once, the design reflects reality instead of the marketing calendar, and thank God for that, right? Take credit for it at least. Now, the question for the community is whether we acknowledge that as smart or if instead think it's insulting to give up our time for non-permanent rewards. I've made my case for smart, and I know half of you think I'm a shill anyway. Whatever, you can argue it in the comments. The tell, though, is going to be the next event. If stability approves and account-bound rewards come back, this was a pressure valve, and it really worked. If permanent rewards never return, then maybe this was actually something else, and I was wrong. Either way, this event told us more about the state of Star Citizen and the company's assessment of it than any roadmap post this year. I'll see you in the verse.